Imagine your brain like the most powerful computer you could ever own. It's fast, it's capable, it can process incredible amounts of information, and it can run the kind of programs that change your life forever. But here's the thing. Even the best computer in the world becomes useless when the hard drive is cluttered with junk files, when dozens of pointless programs are running in the background, and when viruses are constantly eating away at its performance. That's what happens to your mind when you're constantly feeding it sexual stimulation. Every stray fantasy, every random image, every scroll through content that's designed to keep you hooked. It's like you're filling up your mental hard drive, things that don't actually serve you. You're not aware of it in the moment because it feels small, harmless, even a normal, but over time, it becomes a constant drain on your mental capacity. You think you're multitasking in life, but really, you've got one part of your brain permanently tied up in processing thoughts that have nothing to do with your goals. The real danger is that sexual stimulation doesn't just take up mental space. It's sticky. It lingers. A single moment of indulgence can replay in your head for hours, sometimes days, and it demands attention whether you want to give it or not. Think about the last time you tried to focus on an important task right after being distracted by something sexual. You weren't fully present, were you? You weren't thinking about the project, the meeting, the conversation. You were half in the room and half stuck in that mental loop. That's the problem. Your brain is powerful, but it can't give its best performance when its processing power is split between what matters and what doesn't. When you strip away constant sexual noise from your mind, it's almost shocking how much mental space you suddenly reclaim. Ideas come faster. Your ability to think deeply improves. You notice things you used to miss because your attention is no longer being pulled in 10 different directions. This is the mental clarity high performers talk about. They're not spending hours trying to fight off distractions. They've eliminated the distractions altogether. You stop running out of energy halfway through the day because your brain isn't constantly burning fuel on pointless loops of stimulation and desire. The truth is, most people underestimate how much of their mental energy is being siphoned off by subtle sexual triggers in their environment. Social media, ads, movies, even the way people dress. It's all been designed to hijack your attention. And when you allow yourself to indulge in it without control, you're giving away the very thing that could make you unstoppable, your focus. That's why this isn't just about morality or self-control. It's about strategy. The mind that isn't weighed down by constant sexual imagery is a mind that can make better decisions, see opportunities faster, and execute without hesitation. Think about professional athletes before a big game. Many of them avoid sexual activity leading up to it because they know it impacts their performance. They understand that focus, aggression, and drive are fueled by conserving that energy. Now imagine applying that same principle, not just for a day or two, but as a consistent way of living. You start approaching your work, your passions, your relationships with more intensity because you're not constantly distracted by a parallel universe of sexual thoughts. There's also a deeper layer to this. When you desexualize your brain, you stop letting external triggers control you. You become the one deciding where your attention goes. Most people have no idea how enslaved they are to their impulses until they try taking that control back. At first, it's uncomfortable because the brain is used to getting those little dopamine hits. But once you push past the initial resistance, something incredible happens. The quality of your thoughts improves. You stop thinking in shallow, fragmented bursts and start thinking in long, connected trains of thought that lead somewhere meaningful. That's when creativity soars. That's when problem-solving becomes effortless. That's when you can hold an idea in your mind long enough to actually turn it into action. And here's the part no one talks about. Freeing up your mental hard drive doesn't just make you more productive, it changes the way people experience you. When your attention isn't constantly being hijacked, you become more present in conversations. You listen better. You notice the small details in people's expressions and tone. You respond with more depth, and people feel that. They feel that you're not somewhere else in your mind, that you're actually here with them. This presence builds trust, influence, and respect without you even trying. All of this starts with a choice. A choice to stop treating your mental space like an open trash bin where anything can be dumped, and instead protect it like the most valuable asset you own, because it is. Every great achievement in history began in the mind, in a moment of clarity, in a focused burst of thought, in a sustained period of deep work. If your mental energy is constantly being drained by impulses that serve no purpose, you're robbing yourself of those moments before they even have a chance to happen. So when I say desexualizing your brain is the ultimate cheat code to success, it's not a slogan, it's a reality. A reality. It's the difference between a brain that's running at 40% capacity and one that's firing on all cylinders. It's the difference between chasing distractions and chasing dreams. And once you've felt that clarity, that sharpness, that control, you won't want to go back, because you'll finally know what it feels like to have your mind entirely on your side. Dopamine is the brain's way of rewarding you for progress. It's that chemical rush you feel when you accomplish something meaningful, finishing a project, learning a skill, hitting a fitness goal. But here's the problem. We've trained our brains to get those hits instantly without the effort. I know. Porn, endless social media scrolling, casual hookups. They all flood your brain with dopamine in seconds. No challenge required. And when your brain is used to getting the reward without the work, real-life achievements start to feel flat. Studying, building a business, even working on yourself, they all seem slow, boring, and unfulfilling compared to that instant rush. This is where the concept of a dopamine detox becomes life-changing. When you cut back on those artificial highs, your brain starts to reset. Suddenly, the things that felt dull begin to light you up again. You feel a genuine sense of accomplishment from completing a workout or making progress in your career, because your dopamine is now tied to effort, not shortcuts. Your drive comes back, not because you've magically become more motivated, but because you've stopped numbing it with quick fixes. It's like recalibrating your internal reward system. Instead of chasing what's easy, you start craving what's meaningful. That's when discipline becomes natural. You no longer have to drag yourself toward your goals. Your brain actually wants to pursue them. And when your mind is wired that way, there's no limit to what you can achieve because you're no longer fighting against yourself. That's the power of taking your dopamine back. It's not about removing pleasure from life. It's about making sure your pleasure comes from the things that truly move you forward. Sexual urges have a way of slipping into every corner of your day. Here, they can shape your decisions, influence your mood, and quietly rearrange your priorities without you even noticing. You might sit down to work, but a distraction pulls you away. You promise yourself you'll focus, but your mind drifts somewhere else. That's not just a lack of discipline. That's your attention being hijacked. When you strip those distractions away, something shifts. You're no longer negotiating with yourself every hour, no longer battling impulses that pull you off course. Your thoughts start lining up with your actions. You stop wasting mental energy resisting temptation, and instead you put that energy into moving forward. Discipline stops feeling like a fight and starts feeling like a natural state. The best part? That focus compounds. One day of deep, uninterrupted work turns into a week, then a month. You start to see real progress, and that progress feeds your motivation. You operate with a kind of mental sharpness that most people never experience because you've removed the single biggest source of internal noise. That's when you realize discipline isn't just about saying no. It's about finally being able to say yes to the life you actually want. The same energy that drives sexual desire is not a weakness. It's raw, untapped power. It's biological rocket fuel. For most people, that energy gets wasted on fleeting moments, short-term pleasure, or endless distractions. But if you learn how to hold on to it, to channel it, it becomes something far greater. History is full of examples of people who understood this. Great athletes, artists, and innovators have talked about how they deliberately controlled that part of themselves, not to repress it, but to redirect it. They took that intensity, that restlessness, and they poured it into their craft, their vision, their mission. When you start transmuting sexual energy, you feel it immediately. Instead of that energy leaking away in moments that leave you empty, it starts building inside you. It's like pressure in a boiler. It grows, and instead of blowing out in random directions, you aim it exactly where you want it to go. That might be your business, your art, your training, your personal growth. Suddenly, you're working with a level of passion and drive you didn't know you had, because you're no longer draining the very source of it. It also changes the way you show up in the world. People feel it when you walk into a room. There's a presence, an energy, a grounded intensity. It's not about being aggressive or overly sexual. It's about the fact that you're containing and directing something powerful. You're not scattered, you're not chasing, you're not distracted, you're moving towards something with precision. And that kind of energy is magnetic. People want to be around it, to follow it, to work with it. The irony is, when you stop giving that energy away carelessly, you actually become more attractive. Not because you're trying, but because you're operating at a higher frequency. You're living with purpose. Your decisions are sharper, your execution is faster, and your results speak louder than anything else. And once you've experienced what it feels like to channel that energy into building something that actually matters to you, you'll wonder how you ever let it go to waste. Because now, every ounce of it is taking you closer to the life you've always wanted.